Awesome. So it's like, okay, Quillian, over to you. I just mute myself. Keep.
Okay, so let's check. Okay, do you see my screen? Or I bet yes. Okay, so yeah, today I'm gonna tell you something more about our successful AppSumo launch. As Kinga introduced me, my name is Maciej Biegajewski, and I'm a marketing specialist in live webinar. So we managed some successful AppSumo launch from the September 2019 to end of November of 2019, and one more just a short period of in the January of 2020. And for us, it was a very nice, good first wave, let's say, to just show our product to a bigger market. But also, of course, I will tell something more about that in the next few slides. Yeah. So I think that most of you know perfectly what is AppSumo, but for that people who don't know yet, it's just AppSumo is a kind of daily deal site that offers heavily discounted lifetime deals to early adopters. And the reach is really substantial. I mean that they have the hundreds of thousands of users, and there is a really cool nickname for that community because they are so-called Sumolings. I think it's a pretty nice nickname. So they have a quite big community on their mailing list and millions of insights in the circles of influencers and entrepreneurs in their social network. And how they work, it's pretty simple, and I really like this elevator pitch, like a B2B Groupon for entrepreneurs, because that's right. Like you can, using their network, distribute your product with some kind of discount, really big discount, just selling your lifelong subscription. And of course, AppSumo takes from you just some kind of commission from whatever you sold. And very interesting thing is that AppSumo has been around with us for over 10 years and has launched more than 1,000 companies there, and some big brands, really big brands, use that channel to make some growth, yeah, and some of them was, for instance, like Shopify, Big Marker, again, one of our competitors, and Intercom or Zapier. So very great society there, I think so. Really great partners. So I think it's a good way for almost every business to consider this type of promotion. But I hope that my presentation will motivate you to try to launch on AppSumo. But please think also for the some disadvantage of this site, because in the final effect, you will sell your software in a very heavily discounted lifetime deals. So that's one of the cons, but of course, I will give you some more insights in the next slides. Okay, so we know what's live, so what's AppSumo, and what's live webinar. I said something on the beginning that we are quite a complex platform for remote communication. Of course, we are well known from our webinar services, but we also provide online meetings and even hosting some digital events. And we are covering almost every departments in the company, because some of our customers are just doing lead generation, kind of lead generation using webinars, but also we are helping sales teams to provide some demos of their product, but also we are helping HR departments in onboarding or making interviews. And quite nice, our recent customer was InfoShare conference, one of the biggest conference in this part of Europe. That was great for us because we helped them to host conference, and that was a quite huge success for us and for them, because it's not so easy to move the offline event to the online environment, but it is quite easy with live webinar, because as you can see on that slide, we are really open for all of the suggestions from customers, and our biggest advantage, and this is our biggest between our solution and competitors' solution, is that we are very flexible, and we can really quickly create soft video conferencing platform covered all of tailored to our customer needs. Okay, so let's get back into our AppSumo launch. I want to start from our objectives, because if you plan to achieve something, you always have in your mind some ideas what is your final goal. And some of you may be surprised because to achieve some pure profits, it wasn't our main objective. Of course, it's always good to make some money on promotional campaigns, but I think our objective, it wasn't on the first place like making some profits and selling a lot of goods there, but it was something more important here. So the first thing, it was get feedback from early adopters. In that time, we had a product, but it wasn't well known outside the Poland. So it was really crucial for us to increase our visibility on the key markets. And we defined that markets in the beginning of developing our platform, and it was United States mostly and Western Europe. So we decided that AppSumo will be the great channel to cover that need. And three more objectives. I mean, the small ones to as a startup, of course, with product, but still this product is developing and has been developing in that time. We want to check the market and users' expectation, test this product in the battlefield, because there is a huge difference between selling this in the Polish market and just abroad, like Western on US market. And of course, the last point, our one more objective was to increase user base. And as you can see here, we did that. I think we achieved all of these objectives, and also make something more. Because, for instance, we increased our public reviews from 3 to more than 100 reviews on such platforms like Captera G2. We even increase our website almost 9 times, and it's measured 1 month post the launch. And finally, we sold like close to 7,000 codes. Yeah, so it was really, really nice result compared to different projects in 2019. So we got this achievement that we were the best-selling platform on AppSumo of 2019, and I think that's our biggest achievement here, and also that's the something that we are proud of in this whole project. So when you know that we really succeed with this launch, I want to share with you some insights that I get from the whole team, just how to prepare, and give you some 7 questions that that are must have to answer before AppSumo launch. Okay, so the first question is that is your product ready for this kind of launch? And it means that if that product is stable, do you have any feedback from the previous customers, or if you just want to give some kind of MVP? And if you want that, I think that's not the best idea here. Because people on AppSumo are they are early adopters, but they are also very keen on high quality products. And what's more, like if you want to be placed on AppSumo channel, you have to also meet some kind of specific conditions. And for instance, for us, it was being available on Zapier. So before we decided to launch on AppSumo, we platform as one of the integrations on Zapier. So you have to remember that your product have to have some kind of shape. Yeah, the final shape you want to put on the market. It doesn't need to be, you know, the perfect, but it has to have some kind of final shape and be usable, be stable for a very, very big amount of people. So the second question you have to answer is what do you really want to offer? Because there is it's a kind of tricky about AppSumo, because you are selling the lifelong deals, and you can acquire in that way so-called heavy users. And what does it mean? Like if you acquire a heavy user, this user will page you once, yeah, give you some amount of money, and it's really a smaller amount that you regularly sell your subscription plans, and will stick with you till the end of this life. So you have to remember that it's a quite big. Sometimes it's quite big issue, because every time you have to maintenance these users. So you have to remember and find this healthy balance between features you want to give to these people, and they are not too expensive from the business point of view, and to meet the expectation of the sumo links. Yeah, and I will give you an example from live webinar. One of our most important feature, and at the same time the most expensive one, is the high quality recorder of webinars. Yeah, and we have this feature in two ways. Yeah, like the one way is the medium quality, let's say mid quality recorder and HQ. Yeah, and we couldn't give this HQ recorder to Samlink's offer because it's too expensive for us. Yeah, and we have some troubles with the whole community because they are really demanding and they really want to have this feature in the offer. Yeah, so that was quite a pain point for us, but we answer for all of these questions, all of these expectations in a pretty good way. So finally, we also achieve success without giving them what they really expected from us, because from the business point of view, we just couldn't do that. Yeah. Okay, and the next question is, you have to understand what will you consider as a success after your AppSumo launch, and that's why I share with you in the beginning of this presentation our objectives, and you have to think very deeply about that. So will it be the acquiring new customers, maybe getting a certain amount of website traffic, or maybe just collecting feedback to be aware on what stage your product is, on what stage your company is, and in what way you want to just use all of the knowledge, this know-how after AppSumo launch to develop better and better product. Yeah. Okay, so fourth question is, I think, very crucial here. Because is your team ready to launch on AppSumo? And you have to know how many English-speaking technical and project support staff do you have, because this platform obviously is in English language and mostly for English-speaking community there. Additionally, also you should consider working evening and night shifts, especially if you are business from Poland or business from Czech Republic or Slovakia and different countries from this part of Europe, because on the AppSumo they are mostly people from United States. Yes, so you have to be ready to just work like after 6 p.m. Till even the early morning hours every day that you planning this campaign. And also you have to prepare your customer support for a couple of weeks of madness, because AppSumo generates the huge traffic, not only on the AppSumo landing page, the product page, but site. And if you have just a support chat, you have to be ready to just answer the thousands and hundreds of thousands questions just from the people from AppSumo. Okay, and another question is your product onboarding simple enough? And that's important because if users of AppSumo, the Sumo links, will buy your special discount codes, they have 60 days to refund that codes. So if they don't understand how they should work on your software, or how to use it in the perfect way, in a smooth way, there is a huge risk that they refund that coupons, and you will lose the popularity on AppSumo, because they also can give you some bad review after that. And
Maciej, sorry
yes.
sorry to interrupt. We're gonna have the next speaker in 10 minutes. So if you could just
Okay.
we're gonna have some questions.
Sure. Yeah, sure. I will speed up some thing. Okay, so next thing, you have to prepare a special landing page. I will show you one example then. And of course, you have to check what is your website capability, because as I mentioned, the AppSumo will generate the huge traffic on your website and products, and you have to be clear and perfectly sure that it will work. Yeah. So that was how the landing page looked like. And okay, the final thing, why did we succeed there? Okay, so we had the really great and stable product in that time, developed by really experienced team. And we have also strong commitment from the entire team. Even board members just was engaged into answering for the on the Samolink deal page to answer all of the reviews, questions, and support things. I want to just mention that there are plenty of very difficult questions connected with legal issues, and also connected with some technical requests. So you have to be sure that some of people from that team are able to answer for that questions. And also the third point is that there has been no webinar platform on AppSumo for a long time. So that was another great for us. And whole of the team just give the huge determination for that, and we realized step by step the whole milestones that AppSumo staff give us to just provide that project to success. And was it worth it for us? Yes, definitely yes, because we accomplish all of the objectives. But for your projects, you have to remember that there are some pros, cons, and risks. So for the pros, of course, they are new sales and customers acquisition. You can generate some valuable feedback, which helps you to develop your product then. And there is a really good chance to establish product cooperation. For instance, we did integration with Scottish startup Hey Summit during our project. But of course, you have some cons and risks. And the most important is that if you are too often on AppSumo, that people can lose track on that your product's real value, because they will be waiting for this discount offer and not buying you by using your pricing page. And of course, if you fail with achieving another milestones on the AppSumo, that no one will know about you, and you will just lost money on that. And of course, as I said, that be careful with community demands. Don't share with them the most expensive features that you have. And remember that finally you have to maintain these heavy users. Okay, so thanks a lot. I'm ready to answer some questions. I hope so. We have some extra time for that.
Just a moment, just my video. Yeah, we have questions. I mean, I have a question, the main one. How many licenses you sold on AppSumo?
We sold around 7,000 licenses, and refunds was about 1/3 of them. So finally, we have around 6,000 new users.
How many of them are super demanding? Like you wish they haven't bought it at all?
No, like every customer is open. Yeah, just we are happy from every customers, but we have to manage that expectation, these demands. So for instance, we created the separate way to communicate them, the separate mailing list, the separate Facebook channel even. So we are trying to personalize this communication with them to try to keep with them as a buddies, not as a customer and service deliver. Yeah.
Okay, I have a question from Rafał. Did you manage to upsell Swimmerlinks? If yes, how?
No, we didn't. We haven't do that yet. But maybe in the next few months we will do that. You have to understand our situation right now, because the AppSumo was our first wave, very big wave, yeah. And we thought that on that we have to establish this marketing communication and trying to improve that. But in the meantime, COVID-19 pandemic happened, and for most of the world it was a very bad experience. But for us, to be honest, it's perfect time, because it's a gold rush, yeah, because we are expensing using this environmental thing.
Okay, so that's quite a related question from Mick. I'm gonna have one more afterwards. So Mick is asking, did you have any existing clients that wanted you to match the AppSumo deal?
Sorry, could you repeat, please?
Did you have any existing clients that wanted you to match the AppSumo deal? So you had some clients who were paying for your services, and they just found out that AppSumo, and they
plenty of them. Yeah, of course. Plenty of them are trying to just use the same discount codes again and again, but you have to be just strict with your responsor that it was the limited edition of this project, and you cannot provide them discounts.
Okay, well, my question was, I think that you were on AppSumo a few weeks ago, or even quite recently, but only with a kind of a different plan that was different plan to what you offered last year or something. And how did you deal with that? I think it was a pro plan just for a year, maybe?
Yeah, it was just a pro plan for 1 year. We did that just for experiment without any expectations. And we generated some new deals, but it wasn't as successful as the previous one. Yeah.
How successful was that?
To be honest, I have to check, so I can come back with you with this answer. But it wasn't significant. Yeah, it like compared to our current organic traffic, it wasn't such a significant position.
Okay, that would be great if you just come back with more info in chat. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thanks a lot, and great. It was a great time for me, and enjoy. Yeah.
Thank you. And now we. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay, I'm turning you off. I can't believe how bang on time we are, to be honest, because it's 25 to 8, and we are just about to introduce our penultimate speaker, who is Mick Griffin, Head of Sales and Marketing Traffic. Let me just present them all on. So it was supposed to be our last presentation, but after Mick, we're gonna have Nathan Latka joining us. So please stay and be super active on Mick's presentation. Ask questions and stuff, because I've seen it and it's pretty good. You're gonna have a lot of stuff to ask about. Mick, you should be just there.
Hey Kinga, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you okay. I think, well, I can. Don't know about the guys.
If you can, that's always a good start.
Yeah.
So
no, I think it's all good. You're a bit blurred for me, but I don't know if you're blurred for others. Unread message, all good. No, that
If
is
they're
just all good.
focusing on me, it means that my presentation is terrible. So let's keep it like that.
Well, they have to focus on you right now.
True.
Okay, thanks a lot for joining us so late. Hope you've enjoyed so far, and we're looking forward to listen to your presentation. Actually, watch it. So I'm just going on mute, and you can start sharing your screen right now.
Perfect. Let me make sure that technology is my friend. Do we see a PowerPoint presentation on the screen? Let's see. Okay, it sounds like you can see my screen, which is really good. I've got my team here on chat right in front of me, who are in the chat room as well. So I'm running some events from time to time myself. I'm going to try my best, Kinga, to keep everything exactly on track for our last speaker. First of all, thank you so much for the invite. As Kinga might be able to kind of back me up. At first, I wasn't sure if I was going to speak because I recently joined Trafford, and I was like, I don't know if I've got enough to talk about. So I talked to the team. We've tried a couple of things that have worked really well in the last 2 or 3 months, and that's what we're going to try to share with you today. So for those who don't know me, which is probably around 95% of the audience, Mick Griffin, I've put head of stuff at Trafford because basically, along with some really talented people here at Trafford, we're looking over marketing, sales, customer success, business as well. So we're in full startup mode, let's say. And today what I want to really talk to you guys about is how you can be attracting influencers by offering value and not just offering money. Yeah, because my experience, I've been in SaaS for 12, 13 years, never been in extremely well-funded SaaSes. We've always been bootstrapped or very similar. So we've always had to try to find ways to make really good relationships with people without just throwing money at it. And we learned some really good ways. I'm going to share with you today 3 different ways so I can kind of put it in a story for you. And yeah, let's get started. So, my first slide is really, straightforward. I'm sure that everyone in the room, you know what influencer marketing is, you heard about it, but basically, from my opinion, it's still one of those buzzwords. And it's still a buzzword because you can wake up tomorrow and say, I'm an influencer, and there is no university degree, there's no college course in this. Ultimately, it's kind of like a self-professed thing that you can be, and then you've got to work on it, right? So the key thing for all SaaSes and startups, in my opinion, to know is who is an influencer for you? Yeah, so one example I've got up on the screen is kind of Gary Vaynerchuk. In my early years, especially as a professional, was tuning into Gary V, his daily shows and all that kind of stuff a lot. So for me, he was an influencer at the time. And he's got, let me just move that out of the way. Wow, pop that back. Okay. And he's got 2.2 million followers, right? Which is no small amount. But then again, the world of influencer marketing is wide, and you look at someone like Ariana Grande, who's got 204 million followers. And suddenly you're kind of thinking, okay, well, she might be 100 times more influential than Gary V. And it's still hard, in my opinion, for founders, for marketing people, for salespeople to actually decide where to start, right? So I'll give you a prime example. In my house, this is the top influencer. And this is my son, Max. He's 2.5. And I tell you something now, he's more influential than Gary V could ever be. So it's kind of a prime example that situation, environment, marketplace is everything. Max will kill me for this when he's older, but I can trust you that his influence is bulletproof, that he can do whatever he wants, and he's still top dog in my house. And I'm really hoping that I've used those pictures to soften you all up a bit and be a little bit more forgiving of my presentation. But ultimately, my background is hardcore sales. Probably a lot of people in the room have done the same. And I kind of came to the realization that I was doing a lot of one-to-one communications, one-to-one messages, one-to-one calls. And if I could spend that same amount of effort to do a one-to-one with an influencer, and then that influencer would spread the message of my brand, my time is becoming infinitely more valuable, right? So even if that influencer goes and talks to 2 more people instead of 200 million, like Ariana Grande, my time is still become 200% more effective instantly. So one of the hardest things is obviously also who is an influencer for you. Yeah. So there are lots of tools on the market. There are lots of ways to do this. And I still think that there's a big perception in SaaS that you've got to aim for the top dogs, the million subscribers, the Gary V's of the world. But actually the cool thing is that you get to decide who your influencers are. Yeah, so I'll give you one super easy thing to do. When I joined the HR tech space at Trafford 3 or 4 months ago, and I didn't know who was influential, what I do is I go and look at the events. So, you know, Kinga did some excellent work with SaaStock to grab some really good influential people to talk, plus me. And basically, if you are looking for someone that might have influence in SaaS or marketing or webinars or landing pages, you can have a really good guess that these people are already there because Kinga has done the hard work vetting them for you. I did exactly the same thing. So here is Evolve. It turned out to be a really good recruitment tech conference. And you'll see there at 11 o'clock, Hung Lee is going to be a speaker. For me, I was like, okay, I need to meet Hung Lee and I want him to be a friend of Trafford. You'll see that I don't really talk about being an influencer. I talk about being friends because the relationship can go in various different ways, right? So if you want to go more technical, the previous company that I used to work for, really good friend still with his Brand24, there are tools out there that will give you more of an order of influencers based on keywords or brands or whatever. But ultimately, there are so many ways to do this, but events and tracking who are speakers is a good one. So as I said at the beginning, what I really realized is that obviously influencers, they are putting food on the table and they are making money for themselves by, you know, selling their influence in various different ways, such as consulting and so on. And what I thought about is, okay, well, if we don't have money, what's the next best thing? What can we do? Now, the first thing to know is that we can't avoid that influencers want to make money on the hard work that they've done to build their network. And influencers are such a mainstream topic now that you can even find studies here, which I think are probably very vague. But of course, they're saying like for every 1,000 followers on YouTube, you would have to pay $20 to the influencer. The same for Facebook things. Now, I'm sure that that's very different, but still, it shows you that we've got a preconception that we have to pay influencers. And that's not the case, and I'm going to show you in a second. But the other thing to know, like with all good things, eventually consumers are now becoming a little bit resistant to influencers. So here you might have seen the story that an influencer wanted to stay in a hotel in Ireland. She actually wrote to the hotel, listen, you probably should give me the room for free and I will be an influencer for you. And the hotel manager took that request. He posted it on social media and said, I don't think so. I value my hotel. I'm tired of people asking for stuff for free. And even though we know that influencers are valuable, what this influencer didn't do was portray her value to the hotel. So we are already kind of, as a marketplace, the same thing with cold calling and cold emailing. As you know, as consumers, we're already thinking like, as default, influencers are a little bit like stay away. But as marketers and SaaS founders and so on, we've got to find a way to find the right influencers for our brand. So that's the kind of theory, and I wanted to kind of bring you up to speed with that. Now, what I want to do is I want to tell you 3 stories of how I've, in my past with some really great teams, connected with influencers and turned them into brand ambassadors. So the first story is Brand24, and here is a prime example. So Ian Cleary is a really good influencer in the social media space. He was speaking at conferences around the world. We met him in San Diego at a conference where he was a keynote speaker, and we're like, hey, listen, this is someone that we want to connect with. Right? You go to Ian's website, you see that he gets to write in Forbes, New York Times, VentureBeat, Inc., etc. But what you can also see here is at the top in the right-hand corner, he's also highlighting his speaking and his services. So he's also saying, hey, listen, if you want to work with me, there's an easy way to do that. Just, you know, you buy my services, you buy my consulting, and we'll find a way to work together. So I also know instantly that that is technically normally how people will approach Ian. So what we did at Brand24 is we actually tried to build trust first by giving something to him for free. We're thinking, okay, he's usually just taking money. What else have we got in our arsenal? And it's something that everybody in this meeting today has the same. Now, probably some of you have already done these really like basic ones that work really well. Create lists. Yeah, we created a blog post, which was 13 social media blogs that are worth your attention. Ian's blog went in there at the top of the 13. And that didn't cost us anything other than to write an article. And, you know, it builds a little bit of trust with Ian, right? We shared his social media posts and his social media campaigns so that when we do reach out to Ian and we say, hey, listen, Ian, it's Mick from Brand24. He's not first thinking, okay, Mick, here's my price list. He's going, oh, Brand24, I kind of know those guys. You know, we built some trust and familiarity with him. We also built a page inside Brand24 that has been so valuable, which is what we call our perks page. And many SaaSes out there have it, so it's not rocket science, but basically we made a page where we list products that we recommend and we authorize, and we say, hey, listen, we like these people, we like these products. We ask those products to give a discount so that the page has some value. But basically here you can see that Razor Social, which is Ian's page, it was on that page. And actually that allowed us to give him another value for free. So we're going to him. Then what happened was we had to think, okay, these are nice things for Ian. He's like, oh, that's great. You guys mentioned me. I appreciate it. What does he wake up in the middle of the night stressed about, right? What is his goal? And Ian's goal is to be an influencer and a consultant and a product that Fortune 500 companies would pay thousands of euros for to come and do kind of social media consultancy. So I went to Ian's LinkedIn profile with the Brand24 team, and we saw this in his about section. And we're suddenly like, wow, we can see that he really needs, as an influencer, validation, right? So you can see here that Ian's listed all the places that have said, yes, we agree, Ian is an influencer. And he needs them to go out and charge thousands of euros, which he's rightly worth, but he still needs them. So what we did at Brand24 is we created the same thing. We created a list of the top 100 marketing influencers based on data. So based on data of number of mentions about marketing, about sales, about social media, and Ian was in the list, and it allowed us to connect with Ian, and Ian even shared the report. And then suddenly out of the blue, number 5 on the list, because the list was very technical, was Guy Kawasaki, extremely valuable influencer, ambassador for Mercedes-Benz, chief evangelist for Canva. And Guy Kawasaki's tweeting like, I'm number 5 in the Brand24 report. And we're like, holy crap, we didn't even expect this to happen. Not even that, he even tweeted that he wants to be number 1. So we found out that by that influencer wanted validation as his kind of core thing, and we were able to deliver it. So now influencers are working with us for not for money, but for validation. Story number 2 is Pipeline Summit. So again, even less of you will have heard about this. I created and founded a sales conference here in Gdynia and Gdańsk in 3 cities. Average 200, 250, 300 attendees. I wanted Steli Efti to speak at Pipeline Summit. Steli Efti, CEO of Close.com, CRM, leading CEO around the world. You've seen him at SaaStock, I have no doubt. Lives in New York, in Silicon Valley. And I'm like, how am I going to get him to come to Poland to speak to 250 people? Now, one thing I realized is for Steli, he's not about followers. I couldn't say, Steli, come to Poland, I'll get you 200 more followers on Twitter. He didn't care. What I did realize is that he's still a CEO of a product, of a SaaS, and he's still motivated by making more sales and getting more customers for his product. So I invited him to Poland to speak at Pipeline Summit, and my call to action was, hey, listen, I think that you would be great if you came to Poland. I can introduce you to Polish companies like GetResponse, and they can become customers of Close.io. At the time, now it's Close.com. I put this slide in there because it shows you that I actually went back and forth with Steli 44 times to make this work, finding the right dates, right time. But ultimately, Steli came all the way to Poland on an economy flight. He actually upgraded with his own money because he believed that he could go out and he could make sales. And we did the math, right? So 250 attendees, qualified customers for Steli, guaranteed. I was going to guarantee that they were going to listen to him for 45 minutes. He could pitch them all at the same time. Now, if you think this, like if he's paying like $20, $25 for a sales qualified lead, and he's got to spend 45 minutes with each one of them, I'm putting them all in the same room for him. And actually he's getting a value of around $6,000, $7,000 minimum, right? So of course those numbers will be different for each product, and that is a guesstimate for a CRM product. However, again, by talking and giving an influencer what he wanted and not just throwing money at him, like, you know, here's $10,000 to keynote my next presentation and business class flights and 5-star hotel. We were like, hey, listen, I can give you potential customers for Close.io. So not only did it work for Stelly, I was super happy that it worked for a lot of people, and I truly believe that they got value. So names like Aaron Crayo, Sujan Patel, both from Contentino, people from ChartMogul, Slack, Trello, Unbounce, they all came to Gdynia and Gdańsk all the way from around the world, because I said, hey, listen, I'm going to give you qualified leads, and I'm going to, put them in front of you, and they're going to listen to you. So again, I felt for this, we were able to tap into that true motivation for them, which was, I want leads and I want to grow my business. The third story, which is my story now, which is Traffic, which is the shortest one. So we are going to be right on time here, Kinga, I believe, which is when I moved into HR space. Traffic is an ATS, so it's a product that helps you manage your recruitment processes. I realized that a lot of my buyers were directors of HRs, and I've never spoke to them before. In all of my past, I was talking to CMOs, heads of sales, founders, and I realized that the outside opinion of HR professionals is literally like the guy from the office, yeah? They get little respect in most of the companies. Some of the HR people I've met have amazing respect, and they've built lots of personal brands. But when it normally comes to a regular company, they are the last on the list to get recognition about budget, about company growth. And for every time the head of sales for Trello was invited to speak at a conference, for every 100 times they were invited to speak to a conference, the head of HR for Trello was invited once or twice. So my core value here first was I get to offer them a stage. I get to offer them a place where I'm asking for their opinion. And I'm like, hey, head of HR, hey, HR influencer, listen, I want to listen to your story. I want to broadcast it to as many people as possible. And in marketing, if I did that to Stella FD, hey, listen, I'm going to give you the chance to share your story on a stage in Poland. He would have gone, no, thank you. Right? But in an industry where you realize that the people and the influencers you want to talk to are not getting invited as much, and their perception internally is still not as high as it should be, even by just asking them, it gave us a great way in. And then I've put this in here, which is really important. You get to decide who your influencers are. And I keep coming back to this topic. You don't have to aim for the 1 million followers or the Gary V's of the world. If you can get somebody that will go and talk to 10 people who are your potential buyers, it's worth your time, right? So what we did with the Traffic team, I went out and I asked, who are our influencers? Who do we want to talk to? One of them was Kasia Tang, amazingly smart person in recruitment based in Poland and in London, but the majority of her audience was in Poland. So you go to kasiatang.com and you get this beautiful website. And I realized that actually she does have an English version. So my call to action with Kasia was, hey, listen, I know that you do a lot of talking. I know that you do a lot of thought sharing. How much do you do it in English? And can we do it together in English? Because I'm now going to be in the HR space and I want to share the word. And Kasia said, fine. I got her on episode number 2 of a brand new vlog. Laura Mazzolo, a super shot into space for Traffic. She's based in New York City. She is a recruitment consultant for HR recruiters. And you can even see here on this slide that she has 93,000 followers on LinkedIn. What I did is I thought, okay, I got to stand out. If Laura's got 93,000 followers on LinkedIn, it probably means she cares about expanding that. She probably has a personal goal of getting to 100,000. So my reach out to Laura was, hey, listen, how would you like to grow your followers in Poland? You're based in New York City. And I guess I'm the first person to ask you that. So my value proposition was here, Laura, I'm going to insert you into a brand new space that you've probably not spent a lot of time building. And I'm going to do it really quickly for you. And it's not going to cost you anything. And luckily, I got Laura to appear on episode number 6 of the vlog that we created at Traffic. And then the final example here is Hung Lee, who I don't know if you remember, really at the beginning of the presentation, I told you he was on the agenda for a really, really nice recruitment conference. I went to Hung Lee's website and I'm learning about him. I'm doing the other stuff that I said before. So I'm liking his stuff on Twitter, on Facebook. I'm sharing it, I'm building it. But I went to his website to try to understand what makes him tick. What does he care about other than money? And what Hung does is he actually curates a newsletter. So he takes all the news and topics about HR every day and he puts them into his verified newsletter and sends it once a week. And he sells advertising space in his newsletter, which makes a lot of sense. And he's very, very good at it. So it's no surprise that you see on his website, the call to action is subscribe now. So I thought to myself, okay, it probably can't pay Hung. You know, we're bootstrapped. We don't have a lot of cash. We are small. What can I do? Now, luckily for me, super lucky in this respect, but a lot of the time you can get this information just by asking. On Hung's website, he actually obviously talks about how many subscribers he has around the world. He's got 23,000 subscribers to his newsletter. Awesome. If I said to Hung, I'm going to add 600 people to your subscription, he'd probably be like, maybe, maybe not. Look, I've got 23,000 already. I don't think that's going to increase anything for me. But luckily, if you look at his website, it even tells you how many he's got in Poland. He's got 600 subscribers in Poland. So when I went to Hung, he said, listen, I want to work with you. I want to take your message to not only those 600 people that you already did a great work getting, let's double it. Let's work together. And he actually was very lucky. He jumped in at episode number 7 that we launched about a week and a half ago. And I was able to get him on the show without paying a penny. I didn't have to sponsor his newsletter. I just offered him a value that he didn't have before. So my final tips here are, even if you're doing any recruitment, any kind of influencer marketing process, you've got to treat it like sales. You've got to follow up, right? So the first step is you've got to make it easy. So imagine getting all the hard work, saying to Hung, hey, great work, and then send him an email saying, when are you free? And then that whole drama of back and forth starts. We set up a very simple Calendly link. Every influencer could pick the time that was good for them, and we instantly cut out that back and forth of making it difficult for the influencer to help us, right? We made it easy. The second thing, which sounds really straightforward, but to say thank you. You've got to thank your influencers all the time. Not even if you're paying them, you should thank them, but even if you're not. So we started sending traffic hoodies out to some of the speakers that we had. This one got to Laura. She tweeted about it, said it was great with a handwritten letter. Kasha Tang got one. She said that when she went back to London, she missed it. These are all kind of really good brand awareness, brand images that we want to have there on the market. And you've got to maximize the output. And I think that, again, probably Kinga could talk about this 50 times better than I could. But of course, you know, if you do get an influencer to give you a little bit of content, don't only do a video, you've got to turn it into a blog post. You've got to turn it into a podcast, you know, maximize the return, which also means that you're giving more back to the influencer by sharing their advice, their knowledge further and further to an audience that they didn't have. I put this last slide because it's important, right? Transparency is key. We did this work. We have 7 or 8 episodes of this vlog out there. We didn't move mountains. We got 5,000 impressions and we got 933 viewers. But ultimately, if I wanted to put 933 people in front of me on a stage and I could present this to them and present my knowledge of human resources, it would cost me a hell of a lot of money as well. So we were happy for anybody who didn't know traffic to be listening in. So I want to say thank you for thought, and we're going to switch to the questions in a second if we have time, but my last slide is just to really milk being here and give a big up to my team who launched the Ghosting Busters campaign today. Nina is a friend of Kinga's as well. They'll be super embarrassed that I put this in the presentation, so I'm really, really happy about that as well. So thanks so much, everybody. And if we have time, Kinga, I think we can try to switch back to the questions.
Oh yeah, well, you absolutely nailed it. Just saying, no, I'm not sure about this presentation and stuff. My son influencer, and I was like, it's not like I expected disaster, but I was like, it's fine. Like, Mick, come on. And now it's like, it's so good. And you have a few questions.
Okay.
Nina said that they are indeed embarrassed. But I think it's too late now, and we can't really take it off. And also, it's recorded, so sorry guys. It's too late now for any complaints. So we have a question from Alexandra. What are the most common mistakes when working with influencers?
So it's a great question. Probably the first thing I would say is going straight for the money. I think that even influencers right now, even though I said that it's common that influencers, we know that they have some kind of revenue stream that they make from it, but we've offended influencers in the past where we've gone, oh, hey, how much does it cost? And they go, oh my God, it's so much more than just paying me. I have to know your product. I want to, I only endorse products that I really believe in. So one of the most mistakes was just going straight for the kill and thinking, what they want is money. And we probably burned a couple of bridges like that in the past. But yeah, I think that's probably the easiest thing to do is try to move too quickly. And they feel that, right? They feel like they're being pushed and kind of they're being stereotyped, and they don't want to be stereotyped.
Right. Okay. We have some more. Obviously, there's some words of appraisal for you. So great presentation. Great, yeah. Obviously. There's Roman asking, did it happen to you at some point that you alienated some influencer and had troubles because of that?
Roman, it's a great question because I still remember this in my mind, right? So yes, it happened. At Brand24, we launched the top 100 influencers campaign. And I had we went then, like 2 months later, we went to San Diego for a conference. And I'm at the bar in the hotel. I'm literally stood with Ian Cleary from my presentation. And we're chatting, and Ian's like, oh, this is John. And the guy just gave me the dirtiest look ever. And I was like, hey, John, how you doing, buddy? And he's like, oh, yeah, so I guess I was number 101. And I was like, oh, okay. But the good news is, that meant that the report was valuable, right? So if people are annoyed that they're not in it, it means it's valuable. And the other one was, I went up, Anne Hadley, I don't know if you know Anne Hadley, she's Marketing Prof's founder. She was like number 4 on our list. And she was at the conference and she was giving away signed books, and I'm in my queue and I'm like a fan, and I wait in the queue and I get my book, and she looks at my hoodie at the time and it says Brand24, and she writes in the book and she gives it to me and she says, look what it said. And I'm like, what? She's like, I was only number 4. So, you know, what I can only say, Roman, is it's so much better to drive any kind of emotion from an influencer than them not know you exist. So it wasn't easy. It was a little bit, oh my God, I'm so sorry, Miss Hadley. Like, you know, we will do our best to, but ultimately, it still felt good that these people had noticed us in the first place. So yeah, we did. I'm sure that influencers said crap about us. One influencer wrote on LinkedIn that the study wasn't deep enough because it didn't include book sales and all this kind of stuff. But it was all noise, right? It was all backing up the report all the time.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what they say about it. It's about that they actually say anything about it. So yeah, that's very, very surprising, actually. Someone got offended by 4th place. So well,
it still was good for us though at Kinga in an ironic way, because even when Brian Solis said like, I'm number 30 and come on, I have sold millions of books, and we said Brian, listen, buddy, why don't you join us making the next report and we'll take that feedback in. So how can he say no? So he backed himself into a corner saying, I don't think you are counting enough activity. And we say, well, Brian, we'd love to do the next one with you. We'd love to bring you into the circle, into the creation. And then he said, okay, thank you. Like, so we also managed to diffuse it. But no, ultimately, as much as one of our competitors at Brand24 tried to do something similar, and to be honest, some of the statistics did get pulled apart a little bit much. So they lost a little bit of trust maybe. But ultimately, yeah, let's drive emotion in these influences, if it's good, bad, or different, and react as it happens.
Okay, just a very last question now from Anna. She has a product for influencers. She doesn't know really what is the best way to approach them.
So Anna, the only thing I can say is pause for a minute. I promise you that you have something that they don't have. So you have access to a network of friends or LinkedIn or professionals that they didn't have access to yet, or you have an amazing product that they don't have access to yet. You've got to package that in a way that makes them want it, right? So if you had my product, you could definitely be increasing the price of your sponsored newsletter by 20%. Let me show you how. And instantly like, wow, okay, yeah, that's my goal. But I promise you, everybody has something that these influencers want. You just got to believe in it and be confident. So have a quick think about what you've got in your arsenal. Look at traffic. We have 200 customers. It's nothing compared to some of the great companies that talk today. But we were able to say to people, well, listen, that's 200 people that you don't know yet. Like we can introduce you. And that was enough for some of them. So how to contact them all. So Anna, we did this very, again, try to be organic. Like the tweets, retweet the stuff, share the post on Facebook, build a relationship, and then you'll be surprised at how many influencers still answer their email, still answer DMs. They are not at the level of Beyonce and those kind of people yet. They still literally, a lot of them still just.
Is Mick gone? Is Mick gone for you as well? Not sure. Hi, Mick. Yeah, I think you were gone for. Yeah,
Sorry,
I
I didn't know if it was you or me. My apologies. I'm here.
That's okay. Well, I think
Perfect note to wrap it up.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Now we're gonna just move forward to the last one, and I would love to have this amazing story as you had with this reaching influencers, all these emails and so on. But I really made it fairly easy with Nathan, who's gonna join us in a moment. Because I didn't ghost him, if that's the word now, and I haven't been sending him hundreds of messages. It's all because of Ljubljana guys on SaaStock yesterday. Hi Maciej, I can see you here. So they had Nathan on their session yesterday, and it was pretty good. So I just said, okay, let's catch the momentum. So I messaged Nathan afterwards, like, hi, do you want to just jump on my event tomorrow? And to my surprise, he said, like, yeah, why not? It's like, whoa, what? It's like 11 p.m. and you just, oh wow, okay. So that's a very quick
cool.
thingy. Thank you very much, Mick, for your presentation. I really hope you're gonna stay with us. And now I'm just gonna
cut me off.
I will. Yeah, sorry to do that. But
please do. Looking forward to it. Thanks again, Kinga. Thanks everybody. Looking forward to the next one.
Thank you very much. So yeah, now we're gonna have on our virtual stage. We're gonna have Nathan Latka, who is like a really famous person in the SaaS world. Not sure that much here in Poland, but I think it's gonna be super valuable for you. And Nathan is a publisher, is a book publisher. He's also running getlatka.com list of SaaS companies. You probably are familiar to that. If not, you should probably learn your lesson right now. So Nathan is going to speak for us about new ways to raise $10K to $1 million in 72 hours without losing your equity. Then just excuse me for a moment because my computer is playing tricks on me. But we're Nathan, hope you're ready. I'm gonna give you the speaking slot right now. Present mode, hold on, and we should be right here.
Hello, Kinga. How is everybody? How are you?
Hi, Nathan. Well, I'm pretty good, I must say. Very much looking forward to your presentation. And thank you for accepting
well, I have
the invite.
To say, you were fast yesterday. You sent me bribes. You sent me $1 million. And I said, okay, I can't resist. I'm in.
Can we just keep it between us, please? Like, I just wanted to be cool, you know.
No, Kinga.
Whatever I said is just. I
love it. The real reason, though, I said yes very quickly is because so many of you guys in Poland that are building great companies have made time to come on my podcast. So the great crew at Contentino has come on the podcast.
Oh, Contentino is actually not Polish, but you're close enough.
They've opened an office, though, in Poland, in Krakow, and so does SmartLook. And I know SmartLook is because you had them integrated. So we've had a lot of great founders from Poland in general on the podcast. So when you asked me to come on, I said, absolutely, yes, 100%.
Brilliant. Well, you are now in front of more CEOs, more C-level stuff. And also, it's like we have 40 attendees, but there are more signups, and I'm pretty sure they're going to look into recordings afterwards. Since it's fairly late now, now in Poland, I imagine it's early for you. So you have more energy than us. So please give us some.
Great. Well, guys, we'll go here for about 15 minutes. We'll talk about how to raise $1 million in under 72 hours. But first, I don't want to feel like I'm talking into a vacuum. I'd love to get to know you guys. So before I jump in, don't be shy. Anna Pasaika, Andres Kekis, I think is how you pronounce it. Guys, let me know let me know what company you're building in the chat. And if you've raised capital or if you're bootstrapped. If you've raised, type how much you've raised. This is your chance to spam the heck out of the chat here on the local SaaStock event. Go ahead and put that in the chat right now so I can say hi and check it out. In the meantime, I just have to say, Mick did a great presentation on working with influencers. So much growth of SaaS companies has to do with how you do sort of the reports or work with influencers, things of that nature. And I thought Anna asked great questions. Roman asked great questions. Nina asked great questions as well. But again, those of you that are watching live right now, let me know in the chat here in SaaStock Local what company you're building. Just paste your URL in there. And if you guys are bootstrapped or if you raised capital, go ahead and do that now. And Kinga, I should be able, the chat here should be working, right, on the right side?
Yeah, it should be working. The audience may be a bit shy, but yeah, you can see.
Don't be shy. This is your chance to get free marketing because I'll talk about your company live in front of everyone else. So Marcin said bootstrapped. Matic, Matic, good to see you. Back-to-back days, man. Good to see you. Bootstrapped as well. Guys, it's really helpful for me if you tell me what company you're building because I can't see you in the attendee list. Like when I click on your name, it doesn't always say what company you're building. So it's very helpful for me to customize my presentation if you tell me in the chat what company you're building. So Maciej said funded. Maciej, which company are you building? What company are you building? What we're going to talk about, guys, over the next 10 minutes is how to raise $1 million in under 72 hours. And for me, this question all started back when I was launching my first SaaS company. And Maciej said it's a SaaS consultancy, mostly on profitability. Fabian is bootstrapped, very good. So this is where it all started for me. Okay, it was freezing. I'm talking like 30 degrees Fahrenheit. So you have to convert to Celsius, but it was so cold. I was on the East Coast of the United States. And I decided to, I was attending Virginia Tech studying architecture in the mountains, and it was a cold winter or coming out of winter. And I was sprinting towards this newspaper stand. And you might go, well, Nathan, why on earth were you sprinting across the field at your college campus to this newspaper stand? I was 20 years old at the time. And the reason I was sprinting was because of this, which you're going to see on the next screen. Can you guys see that? So this is what's called A1. It's what the folks in press call prime real estate. It's the best real estate. A1 is the front cover, front image, front headline of the newspaper. And my company was called Heyo. Here I am on the cover. And it said, big deal in my town, big deal in Blacksburg. And this is what came out of that. If you can read the text here on my mouse, it says, billionaire Randall Kirk has invested some of his venture capital fund on a fast-growing startup. And he put in $2 million. So we'd raise this capital. I thought, Fabian, I'm like, oh my gosh, we've made it. This is great. We've made it, right? And Anna, good to meet you too. You said you're building a marketplace for shops that have no online shop, however, are closed due to COVID. That's great. Love that. But I saw this newspaper thing. I grabbed that newspaper so quick. I actually bought like 15 of them so I could save them. And I thought we had made it. But what actually happened, guys, can you guess? What actually happened is this for us was the beginning of the end. Now, very few people are going to do this because these are usually private things, but I'm going to show you our board deck from April of 2012. Okay, right when we raised capital. Take a look at this board deck. This is our financial results. And that blue column, the tall one there in like April 2012, says $99,233. Can you guys see that? Chris, it's nice to meet you from Cloud Talk IO. You guys have raised 1.5 million euro last year. That's great. So what you guys see here is in April of 2012, I had built the company. I'm 20 years old. We built it about $100,000 a month in revenue from my dorm room. We got the first chunk of the 2 million in capital. That's the green line. So our cash balance in the bank went from 40 grand up to 400 grand. But look what happened to that blue bar over time. It slowly started to decline. You know why? When you have a bunch of money sitting in your bank and you challenge your team with a new problem, the answer is always throw money at it. You lose a little bit of creativity when you raise money because everyone knows you have money to solve your problems. But that money, as you guys know, is not free. It's not free. So take a look at what this did to our cap table. Now, guys, tell me yes or no in the chat. You guys know what a cap table is? Just type heck yes in the questions. You know what a cap table is? Okay, good. Okay, good. Maciej said yes. What about the rest of you guys? Marcin, Anna, you guys know familiar with cap tables? Okay, good. So guys, look, scroll in on this bad boy. This is our cap table. Now, just to make sure you guys can read this, see where it says me on the cap table and it says a percentage? Type in the percent in the chat just so I can confirm that you guys can see this. This is the amount of equity I owned in my company, 21 years old, right? I already was down to this amount of equity, right? When we were doing about $1.2 million run rate. So you can see here, an angel owned about 2.3%, an early developer owned a quarter, an early angel owned a tenth, a co-founder owned 5%, another angel owned about 0.2%, and I was down. Can you guys read this? Can you read where my mouse is right now? What percent was I down to? Type it in the chat. Can you read that? There you go, Mick. Yeah, I was down to 38.6%. And this was still $1.2 million company. This is still early stages, right? And then you can see the rest, right? I had an adult supervision COO that took 9%, and the Series A investors took 20%. Now, those Series A investors made me hire the adult supervision COO. So really, because of that 2 million fundraise, we sold 20% of the company plus another 9%. So we sold almost 30% of the company in our very early days. And so many people make this mistake because they're obsessed with getting a newspaper headline or a TechCrunch headline that says you've raised capital. Sure, raise all the money you want, but then you own none of your business. In fact, look at some of these companies. Now, they grew really big and it worked for them. But you have to remember, a lot of companies that raise capital that go for $1 billion unicorn don't make it. Look at what happens even when you do make it. These are 5 CEOs that went public, okay, and how much equity they owned when they went public. Scott Dorsey owned only 3% of the company he founded, 3%. Aaron Levy at Box, 5.7. Eloqua, 5.5. Henry Schuck just went public, call it about a month and a half, 2 months ago, owned 10% of Zoom Info when it went public. And Eric at Zoom did the best job at keeping equity, 20.5%, 20.5%. But what you start to realize as you talk to founders is something is happening, something special is happening. And I realized this trend because over the past 5 years, in 2015, I launched a podcast. And all I do is I interview SaaS founders. I've personally actually interviewed over 2,200 SaaS CEOs, okay, over 2,200 SaaS CEOs. This is ranging from people like Sid at GitLab with over 120 million in revenue now, Manny at Outreach with 60 million in revenue, Looker, Frank Bean before they sold to Google for $2.6 billion. And a theme that I'm seeing across these interviews that's very interesting. And if you take out your phone right now and look up the podcast, there's what it looks like, and subscribe, you'll start to recognize this trend too. A lot of these founders, okay, especially the ones that end up going under or not going public, wish they never raised VC at all because there was a path to a very happy life building a $5 million revenue company that you owned 100% of and that you got rich by paying yourself dividends because it was cash flow positive. It's way easier to build a $5 million company bootstrapped that you own 100% of than it is to go try and raise $100 million at $1 billion valuation and go public, right? And go public. Now, if you do happen to do that, again, more risky, if you happen to do that, oh, great. You become a 100 millionaire or a billionaire even. But I think there's a very interesting storyline here about how do you build a SaaS company that you own 100% of that is cash flow positive with 5 million in ARR. Guys, yes or no, how many of you guys would be super happy with a company doing 5 million a year in revenue that you owned 100% of, that cash flowed $1 million a year that you got to put in your pocket? Yes or no? Yes, or I know for me, that's like heck freaking yes. I would love that. I would love that. Okay. Maciej, I just said the profit, $1 million in profit annually, $1 million. Presmic saying absolutely. Marcin saying absolutely yes. Guys, what up the rest of you? You don't like $1 million in cash flow? Fabian, what do you think, right? So there's a path to do this. And so that's what we're going to talk about for the next 10 minutes. 6 ways to raise capital without selling crazy equity. Now, let's go from 6 down to 1. 6 is equity, right? Traditional thing you guys know about. Some of you have raised equity. These are people like Andreessen, NEA, first round. That cost about 40%. That's the cost of capital. They usually make those investments on a thing called a SAFE, right? A YC SAFE. The next level under that is called a SEAL, which is a shared earnings income agreement. And you can see on my slide right now, the logos of the different funds that are doing this. Now, all these funds together have deployed less than 30 million in capital. So a SEAL is still a new asset class. But what it means, Mick, at a high level, and Alexandra, at a high level, it means I'll give you 100 grand to invest in your company, and you have the option to pay me back 300K over the next 3 to 6 years, okay, to buy down my equity stake. So maybe I start with 10% equity. As you pay me back, though, I go down to 2% equity. That's what the shared earning income agreement is, a seal, some form of that. It gives the founder more flexibility. Number 4 are RBFs. RBFs. Guys, how many of you have heard of RBFs? Type yes or no in the chat. Are you familiar with an RBF? Okay, Maciej said yes, Marcin. Guys, if you have folks in Poland that are doing RBF financing, post a link to them in the chat so that we can all share resources. Post a link in the chat if you know of a bank or someone doing RBFs in Poland that we can all learn from, okay? Now, the way an RBF works is you'll get, call it $300,000 in your company. You'll pay back 1.5 to 3x of that over the next 2 to 4 years. Okay, so you'll pay back 450 grand to, call it 600 grand over the next 2 to 4 years. And the way, David, Marcin, the way you pay it back is by a percent of your monthly revenue. Percent of your monthly revenue. That's why it's called an RBF, revenue-based financing. Now, here's the challenge. If you're paying back that 600 grand on the 300 grand you take today, and you're paying back, call it 8% of your monthly income, what happens if you take that 300 grand, you invest it, and you grow the company really fast? Well, now 8% of your revenue per month is a lot of money, and you end up paying the loan back really quick. So what does that do to the interest rate you're paying? If you pay back money faster, does your interest rate go up or down? Up or down? Up or down? You guys are a smart crew. Tell me in the chat, does your interest rate go up or down if you pay back the money faster? No guesses? No brave souls? No, guys, your interest rate goes through the roof. It goes through the roof. If you pay back capital faster, like let's say I give you 300 grand today, and I say pay back in over 4 years, pay me back 600 grand over 4 years. That's a lower interest rate than if I give you 300 grand today and say pay me back 600 grand by the end of the year, right? That's almost like what, 100% interest rate. So do you see how that works? This is why RBFs are very expensive. They're very expensive, but still cheaper than equity. Let's look at the fourth thing. These are called term loans. People like Tamaya Capital, Espresso do term loans. And all a term loan is here's a fixed amount of money. So let's say $300,000, and you pay it back over 4 years at a fixed interest rate of something between 10 and 25%. So it's not 8% of your monthly receipts. It's just a fixed interest rate of 10 to 15%, 25%. And the reason I like this model is if you take that term loan capital today, right, you're giving up no equity, you invest it and drive a lot of growth, you still own your equity, and you're not having to pay it back quicker. The interest rate stays the same. So the cost of capital does not go up. All right, I'm going to stop sharing here for a second. Are you guys with me? Are you following along? We've gone through 5 so far. We went through 5. If you're with me, just type with me in the chat. You following along so far? Those are the 5. Now, those of you that put your links in at the beginning, so Chris Fitcher with Cloud Talk, Maciej with SaaS Consultancy. Guys, out of curiosity, if you guys, I'm sure you all have a list of experiments you want to run at your business. If you had money today, how much would you need extra to run one of those experiments? Just type a money amount in the chat right now. We're going to use one of you as an example. How much capital would you love to have right now? Just type a number in the chat. It could be 10 grand, it could be $1 million, it could be 100,000. Maybe you want to experiment with a new engineering hire. Maybe you want to expand to North America. Maybe you want to test Facebook ads. How much money? Try and do it in USD if you can. Anna, I'm not as quick as you. I can't do the conversion in my head. Okay, Martin said he'd love 150,000 bucks. What about the rest of you guys? What about the rest of you guys? Okay, Intellexis app, Seb, you're saying it's a B2B edu SaaS, thinking about $500,000 for seed in the US. Okay, great. Martian saying 200. Okay, Maciej saying 250,000 bucks. So let's use Martin. I'm going to use you as an example. Cool. I'm going to use you as an example. Oh, okay, and Anna, you're 150K too. I'm going to use you guys as an example. So check this out. I am going to share my screen, and I'm going to go into a Chrome tab here. Give me 1 second. Okay. So you guys should now see my screen, and I'm going to go to this link. And I encourage you guys to follow along and do this with me, founderpath.com. And I'm going to scroll down to this calculator that I've built for you guys. Okay, this calculator. So again, Martin, let's do, Anna, let's do you first. Let's say you want $150,000 today. All of you guys type in the amount you want right here. So I'm going to use Anna as an example, $150,000. Guys, type done in the chat after you typed the amount you want in this page. Are you with me? Just type done so I can make sure everyone's following along, okay? Anyone having any issues? Link should work. Type in how much you want there. Okay, Anna's with me, that's good. Martin, Maciej, Seb, you with me? Intellectus app crew. So that's 150. So Anna, follow me here. This is how you would pay this back. You'd pay it back once per month for 48 months, and you'd pay about $4,000 per month. So here's the question. You are getting wired to your bank today, $150,000. Can you spend that money and add more than 4K in new MRR? That's the cost of the loan. So $4,000 in MRR is 50,000 in new annual revenue. I bet a lot of you right now can spend $1 and get a new $1 of annual revenue. So imagine this ratio, get 150 grand today to add just 50,000 in new ARR, 3-to-1 ratio. This is why people are turning to these forms of debt, SaaS founders, smart SaaS founders, because it's arbitrage, meaning you can take this kind of debt. There's no personal guarantee, meaning you don't have to give up your house if you miss a payment. There's no warrants, which means there's no equity. There's no origination fees or legal fees, no prepayment penalty. You don't have to set up a board. Okay, it's super easy. And the reason this is compelling is if you guys see a clear path to taking this capital and adding more than 50,000 in MRR, this can all happen in under 48 hours. You click apply, you get a term sheet, and then you can move forward or negotiate live. So I wanted you guys to see this because one of the things that we're excited about is this capital, this can happen anywhere in the world. You don't have to come to Silicon Valley anymore, right? So Seb, if you want to raise 500 grand, you said for seed in the US, you don't have to come to the US anymore. Okay, you don't have to come to the US anymore. You can essentially just do this on the site, type in 500 grand and get the deal done. Now your question's a good one. You said, Nathan, it looks like a standard loan, right? What's the difference between this and a bank? Good question. Let me share my screen and finish up with the 6th way to raise capital without giving up a ton of equity. So here's number 6, okay? Bank debt. So Seb, to your point, SVB and CIBC is bank debt. Now, bank debt can get pretty cheap, 4 to 10% interest rate. The problem is banks won't touch you usually, especially venture debt, unless you have a US subsidiary and unless you've already raised a lot of VC capital, because they are lending against the deposits in your bank account, not against the health of your software company. FounderPath is lending against the health of your software company. So that's the big difference, is we wanted to essentially create an option. And I'm going to send you guys a list, by the way. We're not the only ones doing this. A lot of people are doing this. I'll send you a list so you have options in a second. But we want to create an option for bootstrapped software founders to raise capital, keep 100% of their company, and grow, grow, grow. That's the name of the game. So just to summarize, guys, this is sort of the screenshot you want to take right now. And if you're enjoying this presentation, tweet this out to me, okay, at Nathan Latka, and I'll reply back with the full slide deck so you have it. Just take a screenshot of this, okay? Reply to me, and I will send you the full, just put it up on Twitter, and I'll send you the full slide documents so you have them. And additionally, in the chat right now, I want to share with you guys, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, but I'm going to give you the full Excel file of a bunch of other firms that are doing this sort of debt as well, right? FounderPath is obviously one option. I launched it after helping founders raise debt from all of these companies. So check this out. This spreadsheet should be totally open, no email opt-in required. I just put it in the chat. But if you go there, you'll see a list of, how many do we have listed? 60-ish, 70 debt providers to SaaS companies, okay? So if you want to raise debt, you can sort of go down this list and look at all the options, all right? Now, again, the reason we did this, guys, is because I'm super bullish on founders. I think there's a clear path to building a lot of wealth, to building a lot of freedom, not chasing the big TechCrunch headline, but building a profitable software company where you build wealth for yourself and your family and your team off dividends you pay out from cash flow. My general belief is we're all sort of one experiment away from adding millions in revenue. And if you can use debt to run that experiment, it allows you to take advantage of all the upside you work hard to create inside of your company. So that being said, guys, my name is Nathan Latka, founderpath.com. Really enjoyed chatting with all of you guys today. If you have more questions, let me know. My email, which I'll put in the chat right now, is nathan@founderpath.com. Whoops, nathan@founderpath.com. And I'll go through now. We'll take questions. But guys, before Kinga and I go back and forth here, what do you guys think? 0 to 10. Type in 10 if you love the presentation and there was at least one option to raise capital you learned, something new. 0 to 10. If you say 1 or 2, I won't be offended. I'll just hunt you down on Twitter. Very easy. Kinga's laughing. I won't actually hunt you down. Kinga, what do you think?
And well, I think it's really interesting as well. Like, I think we are on a bit different reality here in Poland. I mean, like we are on different currency, and sometimes we don't need a lot of money. Even like $1 million bucks, sometimes in the US it wouldn't do. While here in Poland, I think it would be really, really well invested. So we can just go through those questions because we have a few. And I don't know if you want me to read them out loud or you just want to.
I'll let you do it.
Awesome. So you've answered. It looks like a standard loan, right? What is the difference between this and a bank? I think we went through this one. And then Maciej is asking, what is included in the SaaS credit score?
Oh, good question. So Marek, I will just show you. I'll just show you a screenshot, right? So this is let me see if I'm sharing the right thing here. Kinga, do you see the credit score on the upper right?
Yep.
Okay, great. So guys, this is a demo account. So after you log into FounderPath and create an account, we give you a credit score. And this credit score, the higher it is, the more capital you unlock at cheaper rates. So for example, this is just a demo company, but they're doing about, call it $12,000, $11,000 in monthly recurring revenue. And every time they get a new customer, they can click view payout, right? View payout to see how much capital they could get today. And the way this works is, we'll essentially list all your customers here, and you can select a bunch of them to get a payout today that's equal to 1x your monthly recurring revenue, right? And so the way it works and the way this is different than a bank, right? A bank, there's a lot of paperwork, there's a lot of legal, but here you can just click get payout, tell us what bank you want us to send the money to, and then boom, it gets wired and it goes. And then as you start to build a history with FounderPath, you'll get emails that say, congratulations, your retention increased, because we'll show you these retention curves. You've unlocked, 100 grand of more capital. Or, hey, congratulations, your customer concentration risk went down, right? So you've unlocked more capital. Or maybe we'll show you something like a lifetime value curve and say, hey, congratulations, some of these cohorts are increasing their first 30-day LTV. You've unlocked more capital. So Kinga, what we try and do here is tell people how to increase their credit score, and based off how high they drive that credit score, we unlock more capital. I'm
pretty sure it answered at least partially that question. Oh, so more questions. Wow, see, you have to stay with us for a couple of hours now.
Seb asked a good one. He said, looks like FounderPath is a very high-risk business. How do you assess it? Seb, not sure what you mean. FounderPath is our company. This is my company. It's what we use to do debt at scale with SaaS founders. So we've built an algorithm that essentially analyzes SaaS companies real time and decides how much capital we could lend to them. Is that helpful? Okay. Maciej said, what's the period before I need to start paying back? Maciej, you pay back once per month for 12 months on this. On a term loan, which is different, right? So a term loan, you pay back over a 2 to 4 year period.
Yeah, there's one more from Seb. From a tech point of view, how do you assess leads from EU, for example?
Let's see. I imagine it's hard to get financial data on the leads, so the leads have to provide it themselves. Yeah, Seb, when you connect with FounderPath, you connect your Stripe account or wherever you have your customer stored. You connect that, and then we run analysis on that. Hope that's helpful. Maciej said, did you use GitLatka data to build the model? GitLatka and FounderPath are two separate companies. GitLatka is a media business where I interview SaaS founders, and publish the interviews and the data. Founder Path is like pure math, right? The data is private. First off, you can't get access to, people that connect on Founder Path. It's all private. And so they're two separate businesses, Maciej. Fabian, do you require SaaS to be post product market fit? Fabian, everyone has a different definition of product market fit. Our whole algorithm is built on numbers. So we don't look at it. We have to quantify what product market fit means, right? And then run the algorithm against the actual numerical data. And so what I'll tell you is we look at things like churn, retention, quick ratio, revenue growth, customer concentration risk, lifetime value, things like that.
I guess we have one more. Rafael is asking, what's the catch?
Rafael, the catch is, in order to get money from Founder Path, you have to shower me with compliments on Twitter over and over again. That's the catch. You have to shower me with, just say, Nathan, your hair looks great today. I loved your last update. I love seeing you on Kinga's show. No, I'm just kidding. There's not really a catch, guys. I mean, we try and put the calculator out there on the homepage, right, before you even sign up, so you can sort of see how it works. That there's not really a catch here. We believe that software founders using debt to scale is going to be much healthier for most founders than chasing some big $1 billion valuation. And there's more risk to obviously build that. So that's the catch.
Okay, I think it's the last one, maybe. What happens if I can't pay back?
Maciej, it's not good. If you can't pay back, it's not good. You're getting a nasty phone call from me saying, what's going on and how do we fix this? We stay ahead of a lot of this because we track things like churn. So we won't lend money to a company that we don't think can pay it back. And our algorithm is pretty good at identifying companies that have a high enough credit score to actually lend the money. But if we ever got to the point where someone did have issues paying back, we would know way ahead of time of the issue. And I'd be on a phone call with someone trying to figure out with the founder, hey, listen, how do we work through this?
All right, is it the last one, guys? $53,000 on $150,000 is roughly 35% cost of loan. Am I right?
Martin, no, that's not correct because it's over 3 years. So what you're doing, I believe, is you're going to founderpath.com, you're typing in $150,000 and it says the cost of the loan is $53,000. So let me just do that math. I'll share the screen with you. So I'll do the math with you. All right, so I believe what you're asking is you typed in 150 right here, and it's going to say the cost of capital is 50 grand. That's over a 4-year period. So the interest rate, the annual interest rate is 15%. Does that make sense? If you had to pay back the 50 grand on the 150 in 1 year, yeah, it would be way more expensive. I wouldn't recommend anybody do that deal. That's extremely expensive capital, but this is over a 4-year period. So hope that's helpful.
Okay, I think that's it, guys. I think that's it, folks. Thank you very much, Nathan, for joining us. You know where to hunt Nathan now. You have his mail, you have his Twitter. So I would recommend muting notifications right now, Nathan,
I'm looking forward to connecting with you guys. My email I just put in the chat. If you have questions about debt or anything like that, please let me know. And Kinga, thank you for being such a great leader. There's something special happening in Poland. There's a lot of great SaaS companies being built, and it's because of leaders like you. It's because of folks like Gabriel on the SaaStock team and Alex really supporting you and scaling this local SaaStock concept. So I want to thank all of you guys for putting on a great show.
Thanks a lot. Thank you very much for accepting my very quick invite, and I hope to see you soon, maybe in person in Poland when the events are allowed, guys. Yeah, thank you very much. I'm just gonna take this presenter mode off from you. Thanks a lot. See you soon. Okay, guys, it seems that's it. So thank you very much, all of you guys who have been with me for the last 3.5 hours. Thanks guys for kind words. I'm looking forward to get some more feedback. If you would like to connect with me on LinkedIn, please look for Kinga Edwards. And I'm just there. Twitter, yeah, I'm there as well. Not super active. Facebook, just please flood me with some messages with feedback. I would love that. And thanks a lot. I really hope it was really helpful for you. And hope to see you soon. Hopefully in person in Krakow soon. But until then, please show up on SaaStock Local in Prague. Stay safe, take care, and yeah, see you soon. Have a nice evening or morning wherever you are.